Bipa is Namibia's business and intellectual property authority and was established as the focal point for the registration of business and industrial property in the country. In line with its mandate to protect entrepreneurship and innovation, Bipa has embarked on a campaign aimed at educating members of the public about the importance of registering their trademarks and protecting their brands, called Own Your Mark, Protect Your Brand. My name is Treza, and thank you for watching. Joining me in studio to tell us more about trademarks and intellectual property rights is Bipa's Senior Intellectual Property Officer, Onesmus Joseph. With over 14 years of experience both in public and corporate services, Onesmus holds a Master's of Philosophy in Intellectual Property Law from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Day to day, he is responsible for investigating the IP policies and frameworks and ensures the successful implementation of policies through engaging the various stakeholders IP internationally and locally to make sure everyone has access to the different IP systems. Thank you for having made time to come join us in studio. Onesmus, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks Teresa for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So bubbly and excited to have you in the studio.
Sure.
All right, Onesmus, please tell us, what is a trademark and intellectual property rights?
Thank you very much, Teresa. Maybe I should start off actually defining intellectual property. You know, in actual sense, there are two types of property. Property that you can touch and property that you cannot touch.
Yes.
In this context, intellectual property are those properties that you cannot actually touch, the intangible assets. They are given in the forms of rights, but they are not just ordinal rights. Rights that can be transferred and as well as being valued. So intellectual property, they are divided into two categories. We have the industrial property and the copyright and neighboring right on the other side.
Yes.
So now to bring it down to the trademark is just another types of industrial property. So we are saying that a trademark, it can be a sign, a symbol, or maybe a word, a combinations of a letter or numbers to identify you in the marketplace. And this actually said with a cognizance that you are doing business in the market. How will your customer be able to identify you? You should have at least an identity in that regard.
It's true.
So now for people to identify you, you should come up with at least a unique identifier that appeal to your customers. And your customer, they will know you for that. Just an example to bring it down home. If you see an Apple, you obviously connected to Apple company.
Yes.
If you see the word Google, you are already connected onto that. And it's an aspect of you identifying yourself in the market, appealing to your customer, identifying your goods, identifying your services. And really in the fourth industrial revolutions where we are, people have to think around the clock on how to invent and how to play around with your customers, minds, psychological wise, how to identify. And really that's actually to bring it down to a trademark. A trademark in Namibia, it's actually protected for durations of 10 years. And the main reason is that as long as your trademark is protected, you are excluding other people from using it without your consent. And it's only you are actually owning a sole mandate in the market to use it, you alone. And should anybody else want to use it, there is now where they have to engage you, bring in the aspect or elements of commercializing and licensing your trademark per se.
So basically what you're saying, Onesmus, is that if I trademark my name and someone wants to use it, they have to come to me and say, hey, I love your brand, I love your name, I would love to use it in this campaign. Is there then a communication of monetary something happening there, or how does that work?
Definitely, The main reason of the intellectual property law is to say, unfortunately, this property cannot be touched, cannot be filled. It's just rights.
Yes.
So we are saying you will be protected, and the main reason is for you to be able to commercialize it. You'll be given a guarantee in forms of right to say if Teresa, you come up with this really valuable and a unique trademark in the market. People know your mark very well. If I also want to maybe use it for different product, I should now come to you and engage and maybe enter into a contract, licensing your trademark to me. And by so doing, maybe monthly I'll be paying you some, royalty on that particular license. And really, this is an aspect where our creators, where our business people, they really have to come in and say, there are many numerous ways on how you can actually commercialize and deduce value from your trademark. Not just by using it, by also licensing to those who are interested in it.
Yes, that's so true. We actually heard about how much it'll cost, to register your trademark. But can you please take us through the trademark registration process?
Sure. Thank you very much, Teresa, for that question. And a fundamental one, I should say. So there's actually a conception outside that people to say, for you to own a trademark, to own intellectual property, actually there's a high cost involved in the registration.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's not. Yeah.
I should actually now gonna bring it down to say, in terms of if you decide that you want to own a trademark, number one, you should come up with a sign. That's the first step.
That's the first thing you have to do. Yeah.
And the second step is that you should now identify whether the sign or symbol that you are interested in is not already taken up by others in the market. So you can actually do that by conducting your own search on internet and so forth. Or else you can now come to Bipa and say, look here, I'm interested in this sign, I'm interested in this symbol, I want to see whether it's available. You can actually go through our registrations, registers, and conduct a search.
Okay.
It will just cost you $10 Namibian to do a search. Yes. Now, once after you are convinced that this symbol or identifier is available for you, you can now actually file a trademark application with the registrar, and that is Bipa. So the first application, it will actually cost you $600 Namibian for a first class. And we are not talking about classes. We are saying that you see a symbol or a sign that you are interested in, you have 45 chances to protect it in different sectors. Maybe sectors of food, or maybe clothes, furniture, medical equipment. This is just an example.
Yeah.
So, but really, it's gonna cost you like a $600 Namibian for one class, and if you need an additional class, that's a 400. So once you do that, once you file an application, it will now be examined to see whether it's really available. It will then be published in the Industrial Property Bulletin. The main reason for publishing is actually to give other people who have already registered trademark an opportunity to oppose, to say, look, this trademark that you're about to grant, it will in conflict with my right, hence I'm opposing based on A and B. If there's no positions, that's the position is actually gonna take you 2 months, and if there's no position, then the process can actually go through, and your trademark can actually be registered. However, in terms of the publication that I just spoke about, it will cost you $500 Namibian roughly for you to get a trademark in Namibia. Costly, just to put it together, it's around about 1,200 or so. Yes.
Yeah, we established that as well. But I want to know, you said 2 months. If no one else has the same name, the process, how long it takes for me to say, okay, fine, I came to Bipa today, I put down my name. How long is that process from actually getting it registered and saying, okay, fine, the name is now mine?
Oh, perfectly. So the 2 months that I indicated, these are actually statutory requirements, and we can't do away with it.
Okay.
That will bring you already a minimum of 2 months or so. But roughly we can say in the range of 4 months, you should have your trademark registered if you meet up all the requirements, and there's no this issue of you being requested by examiner to submit a certain requirement that you didn't do. But roughly in less than 4 months, you can actually have a trademark registered.
Okay, so less than 4 months. Okay, cool.
Yes,
I can wait that long. It's not that long. I can wait that long.
Yes, and that is actually, we incorporate a mandatory period of 2 months for the publications. That one we cannot waive. I know.
Yeah. Okay, Onesmus, thank you so much for this much needed information. Definitely learned a lot more now about trademarks and also the registration process. Thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Sure, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for having me here, Teresa, really. And we are really encouraging our creative sectors, creative industry, to actually cordon off their rights in the market and just keep the possible infringers away by registering a trademark, and that's their ID, unique identifier.
Very important. Thank you so much again, Onesmus. And that was Bipa's Senior Intellectual Property Officer, Onesmus Joseph, sharing insight into trademarks and intellectual property rights. Till next time, from me, Teresa, remember to own your mark and protect your brand.